What's going on, guys? I'm back, and I wanted to just share with you a little bit about something I've been really practicing recently, and something I want to impart to you is the importance of intimacy and private intimacy with God. I think there's a difference between how we actually go about our relationship with God, especially nowadays with social media. I think we often publicize every encounter that we have with God. And I'm just jumping straight into it, but I think we often publicize every encounter that we have with God. If we have a good encounter with God, then we want to post it all over social media and let people know, like, dude, God just spoke to me this and God just spoke to me that. And even this is somewhat of an example of that, me recording this. But I want to kind of impart to you a little bit of wisdom. Not everything that happens in your relationship with God is meant for everybody to hear. There is a strong recommendation in scripture to actually have a secret place where things that God tells you, things that God shows you, things that God gives you actually stays private, stays a secret. Not because you're not trying to proclaim the glory of God, but some things just need to process internally. There's intimacy, right? Not everything that happens when your relationship with God needs to be publicized for the world to see. And one example I wanted to actually give to you was, like, think of it like this. If me and my wife want to have an intimate relationship, right? Obviously, there's an aspect where we need the world to know, like, hey, this is my wife. Hey, I'm her husband. All this and this and that. That's why you wear wedding wings. That's wedding wings, wedding rings, and that's why you're faithful to your partner out in public. And you may tell people, like, yes, I'm engaged, or maybe I'm married, or whatever. Like, there is a public aspect to the relationship, but there's also a very deep and intimate part of the relationship. Whether that's in the way you guys talk to one another, when you guys pray for one another, that's your sexual relations and anything like that. There is a aspect of a relationship that you have with your spouse, your partner, that is private. Like, you don't tell anybody about that. Or maybe you might, give wisdom based off of your private interactions, but you don't go out and tell people about that. It's the same thing with your relationship with God. Not everything that you and God experience needs to come out into the light. There's intimacy there because it's reserved for just you two. And so I often think about it like this. Let me fix my exposure on the camera. And so here are a couple scriptures that I wrote down in my notes app. I'm just going off of what it really means to have a private relationship with God. And so first is Matthew 6:6. It says, when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and then pray to your Father in heaven, who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. The next one is Psalm 91, verse 1. It says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadows of the Almighty. Mark 1:35, it says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. All of these examples are just examples biblically of times where solitude and isolation with you and just God is a virtue that you need to hold on to and that we need to practice. I think social media has given us this misconception, especially in the Christian influencer space, that every single encounter that we have with God needs to be publicized for the sake of spreading the gospel, right? And to a degree, yes, you need to be public about your faith. Don't hide it. Don't put it under closed doors. But there's also an aspect of the faith that it just says there's sometimes that me and you just need to have an intimate moment and nobody else needs to know about this. Not because it's a bad thing, not because it's a shameful thing, absolutely not, especially if it's with God, but simply because this is reserved for just me and you to actually grow in together. And so one thing I will say to you is, if every encounter with you and God has been put out for display for people to see, then you're taking away from your opportunity to know God on a more intimate and deeper level than what you would have had if you would have just kept this a secret, kept this silent, kept this intimately between you and God. Think of all the times that Jesus went by himself to go pray to the Father. He didn't go and bring all his disciples and all the people that were, all the crowds. He didn't bring all these people to come watch him pray as an example of what a good, intimate relationship with God looks like, because that wouldn't have been an intimate relationship with God. That would have been a performative relationship with God. There's a difference between intimacy and performative relationships, which is why Jesus often modeled how we should go off into our own rooms, close the door, and go and pray. Jesus often went by himself to go pray to the Father, and he was there alone for long periods of time. I didn't want this to be a hugely long video because I just wanted to impart this wisdom on you. Think about all the times where you pray to God and then you go and tell other people about the experiences that you've had within that prayer. How do you expect to grow any more personable with God if everything that you do with God is on display? We are not to be just these translucent, transparent window glass display cases that just show all of our virtues and all of our things that we do behind closed doors. No, we're supposed to have closed doors for a reason. We're not supposed to shut everything out, but we're supposed to keep some things in. And so, my prayer for you is that you would actually learn how to seek the secret place and keep that secret place a secret and not just give everybody a key to actually walk in there, because not everybody needs the key to know what's going on behind the closed doors in your life, in your prayer life, in your relationship with God. Not everybody needs to know that. So that's my prayer for you. I gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.